Well, hello and good evening. At least it's evening here in New Jersey. Rhea has a cold today, so they take all the masks off and the cold come back. Whatever, but it is what it is. Welcome to a special live with Rhea, and today we're actually going to be talking with a special guest. But first, I do want to tell you about a few things that's been going on in Rhea's world. Um, so yeah. So apart from getting this awesome cold from the kids, um, things have been okay. The weather's been nice. The solar power has been really doing nice, and then learning a lot of things. And um, I've been kind of looking at stuff going on in Ukraine and such like that, and we'll see how that goes. So our guest today, and actually I'm going to be doing a couple of videos on the Ukraine situation too, including shortwave. And remember, as I said, there is a special shortwave station that actually broadcasts messages to the Ukraine. I talked about it in my Sunday stream. If you want to go back and look at that, that's there. All right. So today's guest is a DIYer. He's a prepper. He talks about a lot about solar power and power stations. I'm really excited to bring him on because I've been watching a lot of his videos about solar power and power stations. As you guys know, I do a lot of solar power station stuff with EcoFlow and a few others. And they've been kind of, that's been a growing space. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on here Jason from Jasonoid. So,
Hey,
Jason,
Rhea,
how's
thanks
it
for having me.
going?
Going great.
Yeah. So, you know, it's kind of funny. How did you come up with, I guess your name's Jason, and you came up with the name Jasonoid, just as like a play on words. How do you come up with that name?
I started my channel doing some DIY quadcopter stuff. If you go back to my first videos, they're just super
Hmm.
corny and horrible.
Right.
And, there was too much stuff in that space. So I was like, I need to change my content. I need to change my name. And I was like, I need something
Hmm.
that stands out, but I don't want it to make me stick with a certain topic in case I ever want to
Right.
change. So I kind of just came up with
Excuse me.
Jasonoid. It sticks out and it's kind of weird.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting here because I uh, I started out my name of my channel actually was the name of a blog that I have called Rhea Shack Blog, and I actually did a lot of things with regard to that. It actually started. I was doing presentations for ham radio clubs, and then I said, I should name this Rhea Shack, and then somebody says, yeah, it has a nice rhyme to it, so that's good. So you
Does have a
said you
good ring
got
to it.
start. You do drone stuff. Do you still do drone stuff?
So it's more like quadcopters, so not quite drones,
Okay.
not like DJI stuff, but
Right.
um, did a little bit of FPV and kind of into the micro stuff below 250 gram because I don't want to worry about FAA stuff.
Regulations. Yeah.
Yeah, regulations. So I haven't done it in a while. I have some of the stuff, but it's just been so busy with YouTube and family and work and life. I just haven't made time for
Mm-hmm.
that. So I hope to get back into it soon.
Oh. Yeah, that should be good. I do a lot of drone stuff. I'm part 107, and I do some of that stuff too. So I'm always interested in the drone stuff.
That's really cool. They're
It's
coming out some really cool stuff, especially like the auto follow stuff and the GP. So where I work, I actually help a lot of people with GIS mapping, and they use
mm,
these drones and GPS mapping. And so
right.
I've had some really cool experience at work with some really large high tech drones that will kind of go out and map this entire you know
Solar
area.
farm.
So yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
I've actually done a couple jobs like that where, like I'm there, the mission's pre-programmed in,
Hmm.
and I just there basically in supervising, you know. And sometimes they have an autonomous flight plan, sometimes they have a semi-autonomous. So it's really cool stuff. We should talk drones sometime. So how did you get into the power stations? I mean, so I'll tell you something. I noticed over the last couple of years, a lot of these companies, like the market has just exploded.
Yep.
I mean, and like everybody from it used to be just Jackery and a few others, right? And
Yep.
then you got
All true.
EcoFlow, you got Zender. You got a whole bunch of other weird names coming out of Asia, and you have, who else is out there? Blue Eddy. Okay, yeah, I knew there was a big one. I forgot. So tell me how you got started.
Well, so I love camping, and my father-in-law Jeff got me into 12-volt fridges.
Mm,
And you can't go camping and have a 12-volt fridge unless you have alternate power. Of course, you could use your vehicle, but you're going to kill your starter battery, and it's just not smart. So
hmm.
I started having um, I started my first DIY battery box, which was a 35 amp hour lead acid battery.
Right.
That video kind of kicked my channel off. That was really popular, and then
Hmm.
I started moving over to, okay, well, I need to get maybe lithium power. So uh, basically started with just, I think my first one was like an all powers 300, and it worked okay. The output wasn't regulated, and I started learning what you want in a power station.
Hmm.
And then Blue Eddy reached out to me probably 2 years ago. And they say, hey,
Hmm.
let's send, if you want an EV70, we'll send it out. So they were kind of the first company that kind of risked sending a product to my channel. And
Right.
ever since then, I've just been really into, um, having power stations. And I'm not particular to one brand or the other. I like all of them, and I love throwing out all the testing. Like if you've seen my videos, I
Hmm.
kind of try to do all the testing that other reviews don't do. Like
Right.
one of the biggest thing is I'll see a YouTuber recommend a product, and then it'll be like, well, you didn't even test this, you didn't
Yeah.
show this, you didn't, so there's a lot of huge things that people leave out in their reviews that are deal breakers.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, that's a good question because I'm gonna jump straight into. I was gonna save this for later, but I think this is a good time to bring it now. You have a rating system,
yeah.
okay? And I'm gonna share your website here. Um, so tell me a little bit about the grading system.
Yeah, so I originally started with 7 things. My first video, I was trying to come up with an idea with this was 7 things that a power station needs to have,
Hmm.
and they're kind of right there. The first 10 points, 1 through 10, right there. So um, you got to have the support pass through charging. You have to have regulated output, pure sine wave
Hmm.
inverter. It's got to charge at certain speeds, right? You can't go
Right.
purchase a huge power station. It's going to take 2 days to charge. And I've had companies send me power stations or offer to send power stations that take over 24 hours to charge. And I'm like, no, I'm not touching that,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's just like, who has time, right?
Right.
Um, but yeah, there's 10 grading points. A lot of them
Hmm.
are based on price and performance, and it's really strict. I have not had a perfect score on any power
Right.
station yet, and I
And
think
you
that's the
shouldn't.
point. So
You shouldn't because
yeah,
everybody has a fault.
yeah, and it's so true. Like my favorite power station, it's going to have 2 or 3 faults, but it does something else really well.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, full disclosure, actually, I partner with EcoFlow and I do a lot of testing for them. But, I have shown them faults in their power stations that they need to fix, and a lot of times they get fixed, and sometimes it gets lower down the priority list. I
yeah,
know Blue Eddy has had some stuff too, and all the rest, Jackery. So
yeah.
there's nothing perfect. I mean, anybody says there's anything perfect, they're lying.
I'm actually running my computer in my office right now off my uh, Delta Max, so
Oh, cool.
it's running it really good right now. So
Yeah,
this live stream is powered by solar.
I have my house, part of my house running on a pair of Delta Pros with
Yeah,
their new
over
smart
us.
home panel. I'm beta testing right now,
Cool.
so that should be released soon. That was a part of the Kickstarter, and they sent me one, so I'm doing that. But yeah, that's really cool. And we had a power outage here recently, and it it really like so when you have a power outage, you could go candles, you could go a lamp, you know, you could go a generator, or you could
Yep.
go with one of these battery stations.
Hmm.
And people live in apartments and stuff; they love the battery stations. So, you know, excuse me. You mentioned you did DIY. Now, what was your DIY experience versus commercially built?
Well, so a lot of that has to do just with my father-in-law. He's been on a couple of my videos. Um,
Mm-hmm.
a couple of my really popular videos. I have a 12 volt fridge comparison, has like almost 500,000 views. That one's really popular, and he kind of goes through all of his fridges. So anyway, he got me into this type of stuff, the solar, the fridges, and the batteries. And he's always done
Yeah.
DIY. He's an electrical engineer by trade. So
Mm.
I was like,
Okay.
hey, show me how this stuff works. And so he's just been, teaching me all this stuff, and I've just really absorbed it all, and I absolutely love it. I
Mm-hmm.
just can't get enough of this stuff. So I think last year I put out a really good, simple 100 amp hour lithium iron phosphate build, and that was just very simple. And I've had probably 30 or 40 people email me directly saying, hey, thanks for this, I built it, and they sent me pictures. So it's really cool to see people build the actual product. So
Yeah.
I just love doing that type of thing. It's you get a little bit of money savings doing DIY. You can
Mm-hmm.
repair it yourself, and form factor and professionalism is not there as much, right?
Right.
Because it's kind of you got to come up with the system yourself. But um, the learning factor, and showing that you built something, I love that. So DIY is fun
Yeah.
for me, but yeah, I love both sides.
So somebody said, with regard to charging speed, it says especially if you're charging by solar.
Yep,
I've seen some power stations that will not charge in a full day from solar. Like there's just
yep.
not enough sunlight in the day to charge them.
And that's my 10th grading point is, for my opinion, is it has to charge in under 5 hours to make it
Right.
usable in a day, right? Because most
Mm.
people have maybe 4 to 8 hours of good solar hours throughout the day. So I kind of put it at 5. So if it doesn't make it 5, it doesn't get the grading point for solar charging.
Yeah. So tell me, like, so you mentioned commercial versus DIY, and so I actually did. I had a setup in a vehicle. I had a van with an
Cool.
inverter and an auxiliary battery and such like that. I wouldn't really consider that power station build. It's more like for the van.
Yeah.
Have you done anything in vehicles?
Yeah. I mean, so I've wired directly to the back of my Forerunner. I have a Forerunner, and we kind of go
Mm-hmm.
camping. We use that a lot. So I wired to the back. I have a 12 volt socket and Anderson power pole voltmeter and stuff like that. So I actually run my fridge off that, and then I DC to DC charge my battery at like 50 amps. I usually do around
Mm,
30 amps, but you can charge at 50 amps. So I kind of like, you could put an auxiliary battery back there.
yeah.
Um, haven't ever installed two batteries. I just don't want to lock my battery in there, and I don't go camping quite enough to use that. But it's very useful for someone that's in a camp, always using it, or in an overlanding or van life scenario.
Yeah, I learned a lot. I used to be involved in car audio and IASCA competition way back. And it was always interesting. I learned a lot from that. And I learned a lot from that and from ham radio too.
Hmm.
And it was real interesting. It was a real education. You mentioned the DIY, I see Will Prowse with a milk crate and a bunch of stuff in a milk crate. I
Yep.
always poke fun. I always
Oh yeah.
like to poke him on that, you know. But so tell me, you do when people think these things, right? You know why they want the battery stations. They don't just want it because they want to go green. They want it for when, you know, I mean, let me put it out there. What's happening today is scary,
Yep.
right? And we're talking about a grid meltdown, even absent Putin and his nonsense in Ukraine. California with the wildfires, New Jersey with we had thunderstorms and stuff like that. So people are prepping. Tell me, like your experience. You mentioned the fridges too. Tell me your experience with prepping.
Yeah. So I'm just someone that always likes to be self-sufficient, and
Right.
learning all these things. Gardening. I have chickens, backyard coop. Um, I've already mentioned gardening, but I think there's a lot of things you can do to prepare, especially for now. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of my channel focuses on the electrical stuff. So
Right.
preparing for a power outage, it actually takes quite a bit of power. If you've ever tried to run things off of power stations, you're going to need a lot around. And
Oh
you
yeah.
know, the easiest way, probably the cheapest way to do that for short term is have a gas generator. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then you may want to look, if you're having longer power outages, that's where you want to look for larger power stations that are going to be, I mean, for small things, you can run lamps and small devices on a 500 watt hour power station just fine. You can run a TV, a LED TV for about 5 hours. But when you
Mm.
start running a full size fridge, and that's kind of what my backup is right now, is I want to run at least both my full size fridges and a couple essentials like my office, things like that, off solar if I had
Okay.
to.
Hmm. Do you do so? You mentioned you run essential. Do you charge your power stations daily with solar, or
Yeah, I
what kind
run.
of panels do you use?
So I have two arrays in my backyard.
Right.
I built a portable array about 2 months ago that's 725 watts.
Yeah.
That one uses four Booz RV 180 watt panels, and it's kind of adjustable. It moves around. That one works pretty well. Um, I can, with that amount of solar, I can basically run a fridge in my office all day, every day, as
Okay.
long as the sun's shining. And then
Yeah.
I just recently purchased an additional 925 watts of solar. So that
Mm.
has allowed me to run my full size fridge and my office and run my whole YouTube thing. Because, you know, I'm always testing batteries and I hate to plug them in the wall. So I got to charge them off solar. So it, you know,
Yeah.
it saves money. And it's been really useful having, you know, it's like almost 1,500 watts of solar. So it's been pretty decent.
How do you mount the solar panels? Do you have them on the ground? Are they portable panels or are they like rigid?
These are all glass rigid. Um,
Excuse
I
me.
always recommend to my viewers, if you're going to have something outside all the time,
Hmm.
don't go with flexible, don't go with a portable. You want to go, don't go with a folding. You want to go with a glass rigid panel because it's the only one that's
Hmm.
going to hold up for 30 years. That's what they're warranted for.
Yeah.
So I basically run those under a door. I don't have them plugged in my. I don't have. I'm not grid tie or anything because
Right. Right.
I don't want to go through all that permitting right now. So
Yeah. That's more trouble than it's worth, I think.
yeah.
You know. So speaking of grid tie, this guy, 2-Bit Da Vinci, had a video about grid tie in California,
Mm-hmm.
how they want to charge fees and stuff like that for that.
Yep.
$8 a month. I'm not down with that. What do you think? What do you think of that whole thing?
Well, Utah's already part of that. I think it's $9 a month here in Utah, and
Oh, really? Wow.
yep. And the grid tie, you get it. You get if you provide extra credits,
Mm-hmm.
so you get a certain amount of power you produce, and
Right.
then anything extra that you produce, you can the company will buy that back. Your power company will buy that back for wholesale rate. So it's horrible. It's like 50 cents, or it's like 5 cents a kilowatt.
Right.
So it's not, you don't want to do it to produce extra power. You want to get as close as you can to your average usage in here in Utah. And there's some laws that they've changed. You can be grandfathered in, but that's, I think that's the newest thing that that's happened here.
Yeah.
But yeah, grid ties are our only option, and we only have one power company. I've watched your videos. You have multiple options, and
Yeah.
there's a monopoly here. We only have one company.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. That's interesting. Yeah, here in New Jersey we kind of have so we have a deregulated market, right? We have in some areas, right? We have like two main power companies. We have Jersey Central, which is First Energy. They run, I think, pretty much the areas outside of the Turnpike and Parkway, and then you have PSE&G, Public Service Electric and Gas, and they run like the Parkway and a few other areas. So they're two, and then where I live, I'm on a co-op, right? Sussex Rural Co-op, and then a few other smatterings like you have Atlantic City Electric. You have a few municipal utilities, so it's a lot of thing. But the interconnection, you mentioned that yeah, it kind of got messy. I mean, my plan is not to interconnect because I don't want to be a slave to I don't want the power company to come and just shut me off
Yep.
and dictate what size of system I have. I will have as big a system as I need to charge my car and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, you mentioned you lived in Utah. Now, Utah is a lot of LDS over in Utah. I used to watch another channel out of Utah called LDS Prepper, I think it was. Have you ever seen that channel? They have a
Yeah, there's
lot of
LDS
batteries and
Prepper
stuff.
and then LDS Reliance, I believe.
Oh yeah,
The
LDS
peer
Reliance,
direction.
correct? Yes.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
LDS Reliance lives in Texas, though.
Really?
He's
Okay. I don't
yeah,
know. I think LDS. I think Utah. My bad. But anyway, um, thank you, Silver Stacks Prepper. Silver Stacks
yeah.
Prepper is always a great support of his channel. He's awesome. Um, Kevin W said I use lawn chairs. You know.
Hey,
Uh,
I loved your setup when you showed that. That was awesome.
I want to show you guys again. Okay. So what I did was I, after showing on the phone, because what happened is I have it on Google Home, right? And I was showing Ive here. I'm gonna try to do this here. If you watch these solar panels, you'll notice that the stand, come on, Sony, come on. Anyway, you'll see the stands are like lawn chairs. Okay, I put the lawn chairs in the back. That's
Yeah.
temporary because I have mounting hardware on order,
Well,
right? And
sometimes
that's
it
gonna be
takes a
moved.
while to get your plan. I mean, you want to do it
Yeah,
right, and chairs work.
yeah, they do. Yeah, Kevin W. Let's see here. Lawn chairs are good. Tiny. So in your part of the country, the sunlight must be really nice. Is
Yeah.
it like desert or is it like?
Oh yeah. So we're high desert.
Hmm.
So we still have very with where we're at, we still get lots of usually we've been in a
Hmm.
drought for the last 3 years, but usually
Okay.
we'll get a lot of snow in the winter. So the winter's not too good. We have a lot of storms,
Yeah.
but in the summer it is like you don't get much at all. So you get sun all day every day. So I'm
Yeah.
expecting to get pretty good power.
Mm.
I'll have to track like the actual usage. I'll find a way to track it, but long days, lots of sun. Except for we did
Yeah.
have a problem with smoke last year with the California wildfires, which
The
I
wildfires.
mean, it
Yeah.
was bad. I mean, I tried to get solar production, and that was down like probably fifty
Hmm.
percent. So that smoke really hurts.
Okay. Um. Yeah. We had on Facebook I put some pictures of we had like an orange sky last year with the wildfires.
Yep,
Like I was in a Walmart parking lot and it looked like I was on Mars. Okay, the
yep,
sun, right? It was like this smoke was hazy, and that kind of cut into my solar production. Do you
yeah,
have like are you on city water or anything, or do you have like a well or anything that you need power for?
yeah. I'm just completely tied into everything. I live in a
Okay,
suburb, so yep.
okay, nothing wrong with that.
Hey, I'd love to have a rural setup, but it's just not part of my life plan right now.
True. I mean, there's always a future, right?
Yep.
Yeah. By far, what's your favorite power station?
That's a good question. It all started kind of with like a really popular video was the Bi-Beam, the
Mm-hmm.
614 watt hour, and I really liked that one because I could mod it,
Right.
so I could charge it way faster. Um, there's a lot of people that I've recommended that run overlanding setups have really been happy with the EB70. Um, just because it has a lot of capacity, it's pretty affordable, charges pretty quick, lithium iron phosphate. It's got a lot of benefits. Sure, the screen's not the best, but like we were talking about earlier, every power station has some, few quirks about it. But um, I do have an EcoFlow River Pro that I'm testing, so I'm hoping to
Okay.
see how that compares to it because that's right around 700 watt hours.
Mm.
That has the
Well,
lithium NMC technology, but
right.
still should last plenty long. And I love the app, so pretty cool there.
Yeah. I was told that NMC batteries actually cost more than
Really?
LFP. Yeah, and that was shocking to me. It's just that, and they're less. The lithium iron phosphate batteries are less energy dense, obviously,
Yes. Yep.
right? They're heavier and such like that. But I was shocked when I heard that because everybody wants the LFP because they're safer.
Yeah.
They're a lot of um, they have more charge cycles and such.
Yeah. The main
Yeah.
thing that I get is, and this is just if I'm going to have this thing in my house over
Yeah.
and over and use it constantly, I just
Hmm.
always have that thought in the back of my mind with the few NMC power stations that I have. I have, I think, three of them, other
Yeah.
versus my lithium iron. I'm like, one day, if this thing ever shorted out, my house would burn down, unless I caught it early enough to get it out. Now, of course, the risk probably like 1 in a million, but it's always for some reason that's always in my head. So I'm like, oh man, I do like the how lithium iron phosphate don't have. I mean, I've watched people do some testing on it. They'll basically blow off a lot of it's kind of like steam and gases, but they don't catch on
Yeah.
fire, which is really nice.
Yeah, and Tesla's using them in the low end, the standard range Model 3 now, which
Yeah.
is kind of nice, you know. So that's safer because you have a lot of electric vehicle stuff. People said, I was saying, people said they could short out just sitting around. I don't know how accurate that is.
If there was a manufacturing defect, for sure. I mean, you could
Mm.
definitely see something. I mean, you see Teslas, very early models, they would catch on fire, and that was probably
And
because of some short circuit. I mean, there's
Chevy
no reason
Bolt.
that it should do that unless it was overheated or charged too high, or So
Yeah, the Chevy Bolt had a problem too, I believe, and I think they might have had a recall on those.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
a lot of the
Um,
early and most electric cars now still use lithium, either lithium
right.
polymer or um,
Mm.
the NMC chemistry. So
Yeah, even though Tesla says they're getting rid of the cobalt, we hope. I think they're trying to. I think the 4680, the mythical 4680 cells they're going to have in Cybertruck and the Roadster, supposedly get rid of the cobalt, but we'll see.
yeah.
So let's shift a little bit to radio communications. Have you ever dabbled in radio?
Just FRS, GMRS, local stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Never been messing with licensed stuff.
You know
I
what?
did. Sorry, go ahead.
No, no, go ahead, go ahead.
I did try to register for the 50 watt, up to 50 watt on the FCC website, but that was a joke. I never heard back, and it was weird. And
Oh, the GMRS license.
yeah, I never got, never heard back.
Yeah, I have a video on that, but I'll tell you what, the fee is going to drop to 35.
Yeah.
It's probably better you wait on that because that's probably going to come down in April. From
Okay.
what I'm hearing chatter, okay, and people are saying, yeah, it's April. People say no, that's that's not true,
Yeah.
So um, if what you have works, then it works, right?
Yeah.
And like but what do you use radio as part of like a backup plan or emergency or what?
Yeah. We do have some kind of like in our neighborhood, we have some emergency communications that have been set up. So it's kind of cool to see that being prepared.
Right.
Um, and we also have between family, I wouldn't say anything long range, but when we go camping, it's always nice to have those radios. Road trips, it's nice to have those radios, and it's nice to have something that's a little bit better than just an FRS. So it's just
Okay.
I would like to have a higher power GMRS radio for just
Yeah.
more than a mile of use.
So the thing is, right now the ham test is free if you're interested in ham, but obviously you gotta take the test.
Yeah,
And I tell people, try it out and see. It's, a lot of us use it for a hobby, but it's gaining a lot of traction with overlanders and such like that, and
yep,
preppers, and there's a whole like resurgence in that kind of thing, right? Because people
for sure.
they
Yeah,
don't want to depend on the grid.
in cell phone towers, that goes down.
Yeah,
How are you going to communicate? So yeah, I definitely understand the importance of having ham
yeah,
radio, even CB radio.
yeah.
Both of them are great backups.
So I tell people there are like several types of radios they could get. A CB radio is good for, either neighborhood or occasional long distance communications. An FRS radio is good for around the house and around the neighborhood.
Yep.
GMRS full power without a repeater is good for a few miles, and GMRS with a repeater is good for a wide area coverage. And you base on that. And ham radio, you can have access to everything,
Yeah.
but the catch is that ham radio, you have some restrictions. You have like
Mhm.
you can't encrypt, um, and you can't talk business. That's a big thing. So that's kind of a big thing with ham radio. Let's see here. KO4 IGC says he's going to take his general test next month. Okay. Um, and Steve
Nice.
KO4FL says that if you want to test for your ham license, he'll be willing to test you.
Cool.
We do online testing now. You know. So
it
like
makes it
they
more
have like a,
convenient.
yeah, it's not fully online where you just go online and take the test. What they do is they have like a remotely supervised session. You log on, you have a camera on you, you have a camera on the room. A lot of people they go outside, right?
Hmm.
So they don't show their room or anything. And then you take the test online. So but you did radio controlled toys, I guess, and anything you learned about radio with regard to that?
Yeah, a lot of it has to do with video transmission too. Like
Uh-huh.
I learned a lot about that with 5.8 gigahertz, super short,
Okay.
high quality transmission, but very short wavelength. So you're not going to go very far. It doesn't go through walls. And then with most radios now, it's 2.4 gigahertz for not video, but the actual transmit and receive through the toy, or I guess the hobby grade stuff. I only have hobby grade stuff now. I don't really have any toys. Um,
Right.
for example,
Uh huh.
one
Uh
of the
oh,
toys
he's
I like
working
right
out
here,
gear now. Ho
scale
ho.
crawler. These are awesome.
Oh man, that's awesome.
So they're just really fun. If you haven't ever seen scale crawler, they're so fun. But 2.4 gigahertz radio,
Yeah.
and you can basically do so many things with them. But I've learned a lot through that, and a lot of I work in IT, so I understand a little bit more about
Right.
frequencies and things like that. So I have a good, like, really overview of it, but I don't know all the small details.
Okay. Sounds good. Now, let's get back to what we talked about with Ukraine and Putin and nuclear stuff and EMPs. Um, there's a little bit of a controversy with regard to, well, not really controversy. People think that how the EMP threat is either real or it's not real.
Hmm.
Do you have you ever thought about EMPs and what you would do to prepare?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard about it, watched a few videos on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's hard to say because have we haven't seen like a massive EMP that's done damage in modern history or anything. So it's like, oh well, wait till we see something happen before we prepare. I don't know. I do
Right.
know that having a Faraday cage, things like that. But can you do that around your whole house? Not
No.
really. Um, and everything. Your car has electronics, your whole house is full of electronics, the
Yeah.
stores are full of electronics. I mean, that would just take out the whole grid, 100%. Even power stations, they'd be, all the power stations would be done too. So,
Yeah. Have you ever had been through any big disaster? You mentioned storms and stuff like that, or have you been through any? I don't know. I don't know. You said thunderstorms over there, right?
yeah, so
Thunderstorms.
I've lived all over the United States.
Mm-hmm.
I spent some time in Tennessee, in Missouri, Nevada, California, and each of those areas have their particular, natural disasters.
Right.
Had a couple tornado warnings in Tennessee. One came right over our house, so being prepared for that's huge. Um, I
Okay.
I had some flooding. I spent some time. I've also lived in Texas, and I went through a tropical storm in Texas. That was crazy.
Mm. Okay.
Flooding the streets, and it's just there's always so much you have to do to make sure you're prepared. And it really comes down to my channel focuses a lot on electric. But
Right.
I've also been very prepared in food storage,
Mm-hmm.
water storage, being self-sufficient, and knowing how to treat yourself first aid. There's so many things you can do to prepare that don't maybe get shown as much. Food's
Right. Right.
great, but it's all fun to me. I like learning about all that stuff, but it's scary if you're not prepared.
Yeah. One of the channels I like to watch is Lead Farmer 73,
Yep.
or Lead Farmer, Lead Farmer, Lead Farmer.
I always called him lead
So
farmer. Does he have a preference?
I don't know. He always talks about prepping, and he has the chicken coop, and he has the lemon trees and the pineapples. That pineapple video is wild. You
Yeah.
know. Have you ever thought about like agriculture and for prepping, or are you just interested in like food storage?
Well, I like I said, a garden. We
Okay.
built a bigger garden last year. That was really beneficial. The only problem I see with gardening is you have to know how to can it or store it.
Right.
But one thing that's been really helpful is we have chickens now, so backyard chickens. So we do get eggs year round. You get a lot more in the summer, but we still
Mm-hmm.
get a decent amount in the winter. And I feel like that's a really good source of food. That if you couldn't get food, those eggs provide a lot of nutrients and protein. So that's a really
Okay.
good way to be prepared to have backyard chickens.
Okay. Excuse me. When I was growing up, we had ducks. We
Yeah,
had a lot of ducks.
that's cool.
We had chickens. But we had more ducks. My dad he liked ducks. We had a few goats. You know,
Did you make
for
cheese and milk and
meat,
stuff, or
cheese and milk and meat. That's kind of the reality.
I've never had goat's milk, so I don't know.
Go, yeah. And then we had. What else did we have? We had a lot of fruit trees. So I'm originally from Trinidad. Okay, we have a lot of fruit trees. We have
Oh,
mango
awesome.
trees, orange citrus trees, and such like that. Coconut trees, lots of coconuts. You know, and
That's great.
yeah. So it's always good. I mean, we were kind of like prepared by design, really.
Yeah,
You know,
just your way of
so
life. Yeah,
yeah. So you mentioned the solar panels. I want to talk a little bit more about solar panels and
yeah.
what's like your philosophy with regard to. You mentioned you recommend rigid panels, right?
Just for
But let's.
24 use, 24/7 usage. Yeah,
Mhm. And you mentioned you mount them. You do like a DIY stand, and you can feel free to plug any videos you want on, how you deal with like the solar framing
yeah,
and anything. And I'm gonna ask you another question specific to trackers, but anyway,
yeah.
go
That'd be
ahead.
really cool. Yeah.
So
Let me throw up I'll throw a link in the thing really
yeah,
quick,
feel free, please.
um, just so that someone could see if they wanted to build a DIY stand. This was super cheap and easy. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't the best, but I wanted to go cheap. So let me see if I can throw this
I
in.
might, yeah, I might have saved for spam, but let me check
Yeah,
if
links. You
it's
might have links blocked.
yeah, because I was getting spam up the wazoo. I might have to turn it back on. Let me see if I could. I usually approve them anyway.
It didn't show
So
it being blocked, so I don't know. We'll see if it
no,
shows
I'll
up.
I'll I'll approve it. I'll approve it.
Cool.
Or you could even let me see here. Live now. Okay, chat with Jasonoid. Yeah, because I was getting loads of spam. Um, um,
YouTube's the worst with spammers.
you know what? Put it in the chat here, and I'll put it on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that'll work.
yeah. All right, and then so this is Jason's video about Now, what is this video about?
So this is just my Bouge RV 720-watt portable array. So you can kind of move it around your yard. It's pretty heavy. Rigid panels
Right.
weigh a lot, but it's fully adjustable on angle, so you can get
Mm-hmm.
winter production versus summer production, and just move it around. This is for someone
Now,
that can't put it on a roof or mount it to your house. This is a good way to do it.
yeah. So this is the Bouge RV, like the 180-watt panel, or what?
Yeah, you could use any panel, but this is just the one that I got one for a review, and then I bought three more because I liked them so much. They were good price,
Mm,
so I had four of them total.
okay. I'm kind of looking. Oh, I see it here. Yeah, that's amazing. That's actually pretty good. I actually got some of the 180-watt panels. I got two free from them, and then I bought a
Nice.
few more. They're kind of like these panels for the price, if especially if you get like coupon deals and stuff like that, they're pretty good.
Yeah,
You know, I like what you did with the wheels. I'm gonna have to show people these wheels here.
yeah. Those are just
Uh,
Harbor Freight wheels, super cheap, like $5 each.
yeah, that's kind of crazy. You know, um, oops.
So, kind of my philosophy on panels, solar panels, is there's three
Hmm.
types. You have your flexibles that aren't very durable, but you can put them on a vehicle. Then you have
Yeah,
your folding portable panels, which are meant for temporary use. Some of them feel like they're kind of durable to use, repetitive, but uh, they're great for camping or emergencies, or just if you're moving around, you need solar power. But if you're going to go on for the long haul, you need to get glass rigid panels.
right. So yeah, just trying to get through an ad here. Okay. Let me show. Let me see if I can share this here. Um, I'm gonna have to. Okay. Yeah. There we go. Um, excuse me. Where is my? Oh, okay. Yeah. So mm, your computer. Hmm. Okay. But anyway, um, the wheels is one I want to show people, and the wheels really. Oh, here it is. Okay, so I'll do this. I'll stop screen and then StreamYard. I don't normally use StreamYard, but I'm in the
Mhm.
middle of transitioning to a new streaming setup. I have an ATEM, and I'm going to be, setting that up
Cool.
hopefully. So this is your setup here, right?
Yeah.
And the wheels and everything, and that looks really well crafted. I think, you know,
Thanks.
is yeah, yeah. The wheels are really nice. You have like all the, these are Harbor Freight wheels. You said,
Yep.
and then back you use like regular wood or.
Pressure treated just so I didn't have to replace it in
Mhm.
2 years.
Okay, how hard is it to roll around?
It rolls okay. I originally had smaller wheels and it rubbed, so I had to go to the bigger wheels. These are the 7-inch or 8-inch wheels. But
Okay.
um, yeah, it rolls around. Like to turn it, you have to lift up one side, like the front or back, to
Hmm.
pivot it. But to roll it front and back, it moves pretty decently. Um, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
been awesome. Like I look out there every day and I'm like, sweet, I'm getting the power for the sun. It's awesome.
Yeah, South Padre Q is saying I have four Boujar V 180 watts. Yeah, these are with the 5 bus bars. They're great actually. I have
Yeah,
an array of 8 of them, and I get like 1400 watts out of them.
yeah,
And they really perform well. I'm really happy with them. Um, but I might, for the permanent install, I think I'm gonna look for some bigger ones because I want to do like, I have a few things up my sleeve with regard
yeah.
to inverters and chargers and such like that.
Cool.
So, Ask I've Solar says he's interested in buying Renogy 320 watts. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not a big Renogy fan.
I think you can get a better deal going with like I just recently picked up 325-watt panels locally for $140 each. So look local. You
Hmm.
can find good deals. Um, Renogy panels are good, but they're just they don't offer the high voltage large panels as quite as much as the bigger companies.
Yeah, my camera's kind of stopping a little bit. I don't know, but anyway, let's see here. That's why I need a new stream setup. Let me ask some other questions. So Joe Trot, we had KP6. So basically, ham radio operators talk a lot about space weather. I have a friend who's a space weather scientist. She gets
Yeah.
Dr. Tamitha Scove. She's very very brilliant. Let's see here. You can build a lot of stuff with ham radio, and then Kevin W says you need to have all kind of radios. So yeah, I have all kind of radios. I
Yeah.
have CB, FRS, GMRS, ham. You know, so
Oh yeah. Well, that's
let's
what your channel's about. So you better have that stuff.
see. Yeah, excuse me. I've always been interested in radio communications for a long time, electronics. So it's kind of up my alley. Ives says no local deals. He's tried.
Oh
Um,
yeah. It
I was looking
depends.
for.
I mean, you got to be in kind of maybe a more rural area or suburban area. If you're in a highly dense, populated place, you probably won't have quite as many deals.
Yeah, Ives in Western Pennsylvania, so he kind of, he probably his area that probably doesn't have a lot of deals. Here in Jersey, we have a lot of good grid tie solar incentives. So you find that a lot of these products are popping up like mushrooms, right? You have
Hmm.
in my town, my area, we have like 5 or 6 big solar farms. Okay, and these things are huge, and they're always expanding. But these guys like they overbuy panels, and then
Yeah.
they might have like one or two extra. You know,
Yeah, that's how I
so
found the deals locally. It was some guy that does solar installs. He bought like 30 and he had like 11 left over. So he was selling
yeah.
them fairly cheap.
How do you recommend cleaning your panels?
Well, I don't have a ton of experience with this. I've only had them out there for 3 months or so all the time. But it's been, with that portable system, it's really easy to clean them because it's on the ground.
Right.
Like I go out
Mm-hmm.
there and spray it with the hose and wipe it off so it doesn't have watermarks. And
Yeah.
because we have really hard water where I live, so you get really hard water stains. So wipe it off. But if I'm going to be having them on my shed roof, the other 925 watt ray. So that's going to be a little harder to clean. I'll have to have a video on that for sure.
What do you think about the Ego Nexus?
I haven't followed that one very much.
Okay.
I don't know much about that one. But
What do you
yeah,
think
no
about
pass-through
some?
charging. That's pretty rough.
Yeah. Well, maybe probably to ask them to send you one, and you could then do your rating system. That'd be
Yeah.
cool. Um, yeah. No pass through charging is a deal killer for me too. Let's see here. I'm
So I've
trying
seen a
to.
lot of power stations that kind of support half pass-through charging, where they'll just turn
Yeah.
off the AC inverter and then still charge with DC and use the DC
Mhm.
output. So that's kind of acceptable for some people, but most people
Yeah.
just like to have pass-through charging just in case.
Yeah. Lawnmower is saying here. He had hail last night, so
Oh,
insurance is gonna replace and use panels be on the market soon.
oh
I know
man.
I've had a video where he had some panels that were like shattered, you know.
Yep,
So
the one that fell down in the wind or whatever. Oh, that was bad.
yeah, that was something. I'm trying to catch a few questions here.
Yeah.
Maria Jackson. So this person asked about. I don't know if it was your channel or somebody said that how some of these power stations like EcoFlow like it burned up or something. And have you ever had an experience with any power stations like just outright failing?
So I've been pretty lucky. I get viewers all the time mentioning, "Hey, this stopped working." It's not. It's usually on the cheaper power stations, not really on the big ones.
Yeah,
Um, I haven't had really any complaints about Jackery, Blue Eddy, EcoFlow. Those are kind of the safe options, but they're premium, right? You can kind of risk going with the budget one if you're willing to. But no, I personally haven't had any blow up or break. I I did get the V2 Man test
yeah,
unit pre-production. Had a review on that. It was horrible. Had a ton of problems. Didn't charge with solar. I can't believe they sent
yeah.
it to me. They knew I was going to do this crazy video, and they still sent it out. That was a really bad move on their part. In fact, they didn't even let me keep the power station. They threatened they wanted it back, so I shipped it back to them.
Uh, yeah,
So
yeah. I've
left.
well, knock on wood. I've not had any hard failures on my power station. No, actually, I take that back. I had one on a River Mini that my kids use. Okay, and that one I had to send it back under warranty. That was a review unit. That was just a unit I got.
Yeah.
Um, apparently, I don't know if the inverter shorted out or something like that. But
Well,
I
luckily,
mean,
you
stuff.
go to a big company like that, you have warranty support. So
Right.
most, I have heard, a lot of these companies are still, their support is still overseas. It's all of them. You don't have any American companies. I think Goal Zero is a couple miles from my house. So that's kind of cool. I want to tour their
Oh,
factory
Gold
sometime.
Zero's in Utah. Okay, I didn't
Yeah.
know that. I
So
thought they were in
maybe they
California for
have
some reason.
American support. I think they have American support. That probably suggests why their prices are so expensive. Um,
Yeah, I thought that they were American company. I just didn't know where they were. But Utah makes a lot of sense. I guess it's going to be cheaper than California in terms of like costs of operation and such, and it's going to be they have a lot of sunshine to test out things in the high desert.
yeah.
Um, yeah, that's cool. Um, so have you? So you've never used any of their power stations, have you?
Goal Zero.
Yeah.
Uh, no, I would think about. They're just. I'll give you my opinion of Goal Zero. Okay, they're kind
Okay.
of in the
Go ahead.
Jackery boat. They're just.
Hmm.
They're a little bit behind on technology and features. They have very good
Yeah.
quality, but I'd love to see them progress their product line to something that some other companies offer.
I think to your previous point, they take too long to charge, right? I think
Yep.
some of them take like 6, 7 hours to charge. In today's world, that's not acceptable. Excuse me. I don't think that they have pass through charging at all. I'm not sure really.
I
Um,
haven't tested them to know, but maybe someday. I mean, that's a lot of coin to drop on a product that doesn't work well. If I end up, it's like, oh, I got one now.
yeah.
Is it worth the money? So I think the quality's there. I just the features, just fast charging, pass-through
Hmm.
charging, lithium iron phosphate, all that stuff's kind of not there yet.
Here's one from Clory. Is anyone concerned about the control panels? Because I know Blue Eddy has like the touchscreen and such like that,
Yep.
right? I'm a little
Hmm.
scared of that. Do you think that
Yeah.
that's gonna fail faster or what?
Well, luckily they're newer models. The 200p, the 200 Max and the AC300 both have Bluetooth and Wi-Fi connectivity, so
Okay.
you can bypass the screen if it breaks. But yes, it's always that's the thing about all these. If the control panel goes out, you think that's the brain of the entire thing. Not even if the screen just dies, but I think
Yeah.
everything's going to go down. Even if any other brand, I think the whole thing's just going to fail. So it's kind of like a computer.
Yeah. Even yeah, like EcoFlow has like their whole. EcoFlow is almost totally app controlled, and
Yeah.
the funny thing is that uh, the DIY solutions might actually have an advantage in that because
Yeah.
you know when push comes to shove, you could make it as simple as possible.
Hmm.
You know.
You don't get
Yeah.
the battery percentage that you'd get on a power station. You have to kind of watch the voltage, or you have to have like a
Mhm.
smart shunt in there that tracks the capacity from full to empty.
Right.
There are a lot of options for DIY. You spend a lot for them, but yeah, repairability and ease of access, that's really good benefits to DIY setup.
Yeah. Ask If Solar says that Goal Zero 3000X takes 14 hours. You
Yeah,
ain't gonna have 14 hours of sun.
and their solar panels are like $4 a watt. It's crazy.
Oh. Oh man. And I got Digital Dreamer down there in Hawaii, I think. Have you ever been to Hawaii?
Yeah, I have. I've been once. It was awesome.
Okay. Yeah. And then Maria Jackson saying makes you nervous about the high price of the bigger power stations. DIY. Do you think a lot of these solar panels are priced too high? Do you see any possibility of price going down? I know supply chain is going to be impacted on them.
Yeah, supply and demand is going to be pretty rough over the next couple months. It's already been rough. A lot of the panels I recommend for portable setups, those have been
Yeah.
hard to get. But I like the price of rigid panels. They've kind of gone down
Okay.
over time. Um, the $2 a watt for portable panels, that's kind of what you pay, and it's good to see it less sometimes. And then the super cheap ones, like you'll get a portable
Hmm.
panel that's maybe like $1 a watt to $1.50 a watt. You're like, yeah, something's wrong with that panel. You're gonna have that break
Yeah.
in a couple months or something because it's just so cheap.
Yeah. Some of Chloe saying that Gold Zeros are very durable. I don't know. I don't know. I don't own one. So, anyway, we're about almost ready to wrap up. I'll give you,
Yeah,
anything you want to tell us. You know, if you want to drop some videos in the chat, I'll send it to you. And of course, go to Jasonoid's channel. Okay, you could look for Jasonoid on YouTube, and you can subscribe to him. He has a lot of nice power station reviews, and I like his whole rating system. So,
yeah. I've
anything
never
you want
seen
to tell us?
anybody. I was looking at a bunch of because I always watch other power station reviews saying, "Hey, am I missing something?" or how to make my videos better, because you always got to be moving and uh,
Hmm.
making better content, better ideas on YouTube to stay relevant. So that grading system kind of came together in a way to really help someone make a decision. I'm not gonna in my reviews. My whole point isn't to say buy this, it's amazing. It says I try to present you guys with facts. This is how it tested. This is what
Hmm.
works. This is what you can use it for, and you guys can make the decision on if it's the right power station for you, because everyone has a different use case.
Right, right.
And that's why it's always, you get people that say, well, I don't ever want to recommend a power station because maybe, it might not work for that person's use case, and then they'll get mad, you recommended this, but it doesn't work. But yeah, that's, you got to present the facts, and hopefully they can make the right decision on if it's one that'll work for them or not. So that's what that grading system is supposed to do, is to present better information all at once.
Yeah. I mean, I watch a lot of the videos on Hobotech. I think Hobotech has a lot of good points, but like I said, some things are not really. I think some power stations he does them differently from others. It's nice that you have a consistent kind of checklist that you go through. You know,
Yeah.
uh,
I
you
just
know,
hope it doesn't get old to people. That's the only thing that I could see is like, oh man, it's the same pattern, same thing over and over again. It's a different power station. I got to try
mhm.
to mix it up every now and then, but yeah, I think the more I test, the better. The more um, baseline I have for which power station is the best type of thing.
Yeah, Digital Dreamer says he bought 200-watt monos for 97 free shipping. Okay. Well, was that a glass panel or was that a
Yeah, it looks
foldable? I
like
don't
it.
know. Probably glass. Um, so yeah, that's always something, and there's always going to be new stuff coming down the line, and I really
Hmm.
I really appreciate you taking the time out to come and talk with us and share some of your world. Like I said,
Yeah.
prepping is going to be big. This market's exploding. I think that there's more to come. Like,
Oh
you
yeah.
could check them out. And your website is jasonoid.com or.
Yeah. Yeah. I just have some on my website. It's really simple. I talk about three main things: power stations, solar panels, and 12-volt fridges. I also have a discounts page, so you can check that out if you're looking for a discount on any of that stuff. But
Okay.
simple website.
Yeah. Check him out and, check out his videos, subscribe to his channel. He has a lot of good stuff. I'm going to be talking, a lot of stuff. I did the whole live stream demo with the Delta Pro and the other stuff. I have some other EcoFlow stuff coming too, and I have some other power stations too. That'll be nice. So, anyway, thank
Yeah.
you. And unfortunately, I had to end a few minutes early because my cold is just taking the toll on me.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank
No
you so much
worries,
for
no
having
worries.
me on, though. I One thing I'm really looking forward to your solar tracker from EcoFlow. So make sure you let me
I
put
will.
that out when you can, because that's really cool.
So some people like they don't like solar trackers. I kind of like the concept. I'm just kind of torn on the reliability. You know,
Yeah.
I had experience with movable antennas. Right, I have an antenna called a stepper,
Uh-huh.
which kind of just it failed. Okay, and it failed 75 feet in the air. Okay,
Oh man.
that's not pretty. Okay,
Nope.
it failed 75 feet in the air. So you have to spend like $600-700 for a crane to come take it down. Then you have to
Oh
wait,
man.
and that happened like 4 or 5 times. I'm just done.
Okay.
I'm just done. So
Yep. Well, you have experience with something like that. Yeah. Any moving part is a chance of failure. So it's true.
yeah, but I like the EcoFlow tracker as a good portable solution. So I'm thinking, you know what? Maybe I could toss that in the car and then take that somewhere, you know, camping or something, and
Yeah.
then use that to power like a Delta Max or a Delta Pro or something. Because I have like 3 Delta Pros at home,
Yeah.
and I could just
It's
grab one
awesome.
and go camping. So,
Yeah.
well, listen, thank you,
Yeah.
Jason from Jasonoid. It's been really fun, and
Yeah.
everyone like and subscribe to my channel and check out Jason's channel as well too. He has
Thank you so
a lot of
much,
good
Ria. It
stuff.
was awesome. Very fun.
I will see you next, guys, on Live with Ria. We're gonna have Thursday. We're gonna have Two Chicks in a Radio, which is with Kat, and then Sunday I'm gonna have another Live with Ria. I have another topic Live with Ria. That's gonna be pretty cool. So I'll look forward to that announcement on Twitter, and also on the channel community page. Peace and 73s.